So what we've done so far is take this thing called Cramer's rule and use it to solve systems of linear equations with two variables. To be able to go into three variable systems of equations, we need to use 3 by 3 determinants and 3 by 3 matrices. So 3 rows, 3 columns, determinants. And so this calculation works a little bit differently than it does for 2 by 2 determinants. And I have a formula up here which is very long and kind of tedious looking that makes it work. I'm going to try to break it down to something that is a little bit easier to work with. It's still going to involve a fair number of calculations, but we won't have to memorize a big long formula like this to make it happen. So let's take this determinant and I'll show you how it goes. We have 4, -9, -3, 1, 3, 8, 0, 4, 1. So 3 rows, 3 columns. So we're going to do diagonal multiplication much like we did for the 2 by 2 determinants, but I need a few extra columns in order to make this work. So what I do is I take the first 2 columns and I go ahead and repeat these columns over here to the right. And now I have a total of 5 columns to work with. So that's the first thing to do. The next thing is we're going to start multiplying diagonally down and to the right. So we've got to multiply these 3 numbers diagonally. So we're going to take and multiply 4 times 3 times 1. And then we go down the next diagonal down and to the right, and we multiply 1 times 4 times -3. As I multiply these together, I'm going to add them to the numbers I've already written down. So I'm going to go plus 1 times 4 times -3. And then I multiply down this diagonally. Here, the 0 times -9 times 8. And I add that number to here. Plus 0 times -9 times 8. Okay. Now that takes care of the first 3 diagonal multiplications we have to do. After multiplying this direction, we start multiplying up and to the right. And as we do this, we start subtracting the numbers that we're getting. So I got to do -3 times 0 and subtract that. So we're going to go minus -3 times 3 times 0. And then we multiply up diagonally again and subtract that. So we go minus 8 times 4 times 4. And then we got one more thing to do. What we'll do is we'll go minus 1 times -9 times 1. Okay, so now we've multiplied all the numbers that we need to do in order to calculate this. This is going to be equal to 12 minus 12 plus 0 minus 0 minus 128 plus 9. So when we calculate that all out, it's going to come out to be a -119. That's the value of the 3 by 3 determinant. So if you'd like to practice doing a 3 by 3 determinant, here's one that you might try. If you pause the video, and when I come back in just a second, I'll go ahead and work this one through. Okay, so what we do in the first case is we take the first 2 columns and rewrite them over here to the side, and then we start multiplying down diagonally. So we start with 9 times -3 times 2. So that's going to be equal to -54. And then we multiply the next one down diagonally. We add that number. So 5 times 0 times 1, well, it's times 0, so we're just going to get a 0 from there. 0 times negative 2 times 4. So again, that's multiplying by 0, so we're not going to really be adding anything but a plus 0. And now we multiply up diagonally. So 1 times negative 3 times 0, and we subtract those numbers. But again, multiply by 0, so we're just getting a 0. Multiply up diagonally, next one over, subtract the number, but we see 4 times 0 times 9, that's still just a 0. And then the last one is 2 times negative 2 times 5, subtracted. 2 times negative 2 times 5 is negative 20, so we do a minus negative 20. So together, that's going to equal to negative 54 plus 20, or negative 34.